want to throw this out here. What are your expectations of Jalen Carter this year? What are your expectations? What do you want him to have as personal goals as he gets ready for the upcoming rookie season? What would make you go, wow, what a great pick? 5 sacks and 40% of the snaps. Defensive Rookie of the Year, 215. Day 1 starter. 10 sacks. Woo! At least 7 sacks and a major disruption in the running plays. Day 1 starter. Play about 50% of the snaps, 7 sacks. Someone other teams fear. Tone, let me hear yours too. 8 sacks would be very impressive. Agreed. It is his first year, so who knows? Shane, don't say that. This guy's the 9th pick in the draft. He could have went number 1 overall. You think there's higher expectations at Carolina on Bryce Young? Don't just go, hey, whatever, this is like a redshirt year. That's not what this is. Starter and pressure. A Brad Culpepper season for a rookie. Brings up one of my boys' names. Violence. Okay. Starter is not a goal. Huh. Okay. Hit Dak so hard, he knocks the star off his helmet. Right, Benny? I want Jalen Carter to hit that guy so hard the star falls off his helmet. Okay. Give me 8 sacks, says Tone. Here's my expectations. By the end of the season, I want Jalen Carter to be the best defensive tackle the Eagles have. I want him to be the very best inside tackle that this team has. That would be pretty good, especially with the talent that he has in the building. As of today, who you got NFC or AFC champion game? 5573, I'll get to that. That's a good topic. I'll hit that. Mainly because I know you'll be rotating. Jerome Brown 2.0. I want him to be the very best defensive tackle, and I want us to see those flash plays. I want to see impact. I want to see, like what Ndamukong Suh was his rookie year when he was in Detroit. He was a wrecking ball. I think this guy, given the proper guardrails, could be that wrecking ball. I think he could be that wrecking. I expect it. There is a lot of pressure on Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. The Eagle future in the front 7 is in 2 21 and 20-year-old players. There is a lot of gambling there. High picks, high expectations. There's an issue with, get this, do you know what the issue is with both these players? I think it's dedication. I think you can coach that. I don't think it's talent. My problem is one thing, though, with dedication. I shouldn't have to push you to the edge. I should have to pull you off the edge. Those are the kind of players I want. Now, when you're pulling players off the edge, you get edgy dudes. It just seems that these two guys, I got to push them a little. Now, if Tracy Rocker's the guy to push him, I believe there's no other D-line coach in the NFL that can motivate these two players other than him. I think these two guys are in an absolutely gold mine situation. Families know each other. They know strengths and weaknesses of one another. They know Tracy gets on their ass. It's from a place of love. You know, Tracy's got to talk to these two guys differently now than he did when they were at Georgia. You know what he's got to tell them? Men, this is a job now. You get fired from this job. When you're in college, you just get demoted. You get to keep your scholarship. When you're in the NFL, you get fired. You lose what you've built up in a second. Tracy's going to be able to have come to Jesus conversations with these guys. I think Tracy Rocker is going to be one of the most important coaches in that building next to Jeff Stoutland. Because he's got to teach these guys to be pros. I think Jordan Davis struggled on being a pro last year. What it takes. I don't want to talk to you about conditioning. If I've got to bring conditioning up to you, that to me is a weakness in your character. If I've got to tell you to put the White Castle burger down, that's a weakness. You're a pro now. Act like it. And perform like it. That's right, JC, like many rookies. But when you're the 13th and 9th pick, do you understand that? Nowhere in that O-line, that legendary Eagle O-line, do you have 2 ones. Not on that Eagle line that you currently have. You have a 7th rounder, a 6th rounder, a 2nd rounder, a 2nd rounder, and a 1st rounder. Over on your defensive line, you've got Cox 1st rounder, Davis 1st rounder, Carter 1st rounder, Graham 1st rounder. You got quite a bit of equity in draft choices, and you drafted all those guys. He played a role last year behind the best D-line in the league. Absolutely untrue. You were 16th against the run. He got 0 hits on the quarterback. He couldn't beat 2 36-year-old D tackles out. Don't talk to me about he played behind a bunch. He couldn't beat out 2 guys that were at the ice cream stand, Arthur. You got those guys halfway through the year. They weren't even in training camp. Okay? A lot of expectations on those 2 men. Boy, if I was Jordan Davis, I'd be one pissed off dude. One pissed off dude. Because you know they're thinking this in the building. We really like you, but you didn't step up to your reputation of what we thought you were going to be last year. Not a chance in hell. Maybe Carter can bring that out. Maybe he can bring that out. Okay? Sills, have you ever been approached to coach? Yes, by Butch Davis at UNC and University of Miami and Cleveland. I think Coach Wanstad asked me for Pitt, and I was asked to be in the personnel department by Ken Herrick with the Raiders and Al Davis and Bruce Allen. Those were the times that I had been kicking around getting into personnel or into coaching. I didn't want to do coaching. I wanted to be more involved in personnel. Okay? So, I mean, I find it cool finding guys like Jordan. See, to me, finding Jalen Carter's, that's not the hard thing. Finding Jordan Mailata's and Jason Kelsey's, that's the gems. Getting a Nick Foles to win you a Super Bowl MVP, to me, that's the gems. You know what I mean? Russell Wilson in the 3rd, Montana in the – that to me, I like that. I like to see guys like Carl Mecklenburg, who was drafted back in the old days when they had 12 rounds. In the 12th round, he goes on to be a 6-time Pro Bowler with the Broncos. Or Tim Krumrie, who was drafted late, and he went on to be an all-pro nose guard. Stuff like that. I like that. Jalen Hurts in the 2nd. I think the Eagles do a really great job of that, okay? All right. How to use Nolan Smith now. How do you use Nolan Smith? How would you use him? First and foremost, do you think Nolan Smith has an opportunity to start right away? Funny, now that I think about it, Smith may have the opportunity to start even before Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter's got to be a day one starter, in my opinion. Okay? Clifford. Look at Clifford here, man. This guy must be a football guy. I don't want to use him like Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick is a one-dimensional player. Okay? He's a one-dimensional guy. Are you under the impression that you think Hassan Reddick's a better ball player or has more physical attributes than Nolan Smith? He doesn't. Reddick's not a good tackler and can't cover people. He's elite in pass rushing. He's situational. And once they got those 2 D tackles, his game elevated. Kind of the facts. Smith can cover. Smith can cover. He can. I agree. I think, plus he has more length. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". Am I right? Am I right when I say that, Tone? He's like 6'3", something like that. 6'3", 6'4". He's not a little man. And he's got speed to boot. Personally, I think, and I'm going to make a comparison to you on Nolan Smith here. I think Nolan Smith is an undeveloped Micah Parsons. Let's take a look back at Micah Parsons and his evolution on playing in the Dallas system. Remember something. When their defensive end went out, they were forced to put his hand in the dirt. Dan Quinn didn't know what he had, actually, until he saw the versatility in the kid. And when they found out that this guy could get around the hula hoop, they were amazed. They weren't using him that way. They were using him more as a cover guy, backside of the backfield, and occasionally rushing. Once they realized what they had, they wound him up and let him rush the passer. Personally, 6'2", 238, he's a tad bigger than Hassan Reddick. I thought he was taller. Let's see. Okay, I thought he was taller. 6'2" on the perimeter, rushing the passer. Okay, he's not like he's a little bigger than Reddick. Okay. But he's got that 4-something speed, that 4.4 speed. And that 4.4 speed is going to carry him a long way. Hassan 6'1", 235. He's a little bigger. But that lightning speed that he has. So, what's better? 34, 43. Do you situationally pass rush him at first? What's the best way of using Nolan Smith? Use him on third down? And by the way, when I say this, just so you know, most teams are in nickel personnel 75% of the time. It's roughly around 72. But most of the time, you're in nickel personnel anyway, the majority of the game. Very few times are you in first and second down personnel. You're mostly in nickel. 72% of the time in the NFL nowadays. And see, Tone brought something up a couple months ago, maybe been a couple weeks ago, where he said if you don't have 4 linebackers that can be on the field all at once because of the versatile personnel that most teams have nowadays to go after defenses, you're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit here. He's right. See, the Eagles now have perimeter guys. But Reddick, to me, I think Reddick has to play on the strong side. I think he has to be your strong side linebacker. In the weak side, okay, to me, the weak side linebacker, most of the time, to me, I'm going to flip him. And I'm going to keep Reddick on the right side of my defense. And I'm going to put Nolan Smith to the wide side of the field. Why? To set the perimeter and to set the edge. He's got the speed. I'm going to flip these guys. That's how I would play Nolan Smith. I want Nolan Smith on the wide side so he can cover the open space more than Reddick. Reddick can't. That's not his forte. Not a rip. It's just who he is. It's not a rip. Utilize the 4-4 strength that you have. Keep Nolan Smith. Hey, disrespect. I think your defensive ends, I think they do a nice job on the edge. But with the complex offenses that you have, I want to be able to have a 4-4 guy in open space versus a guy who struggles in making tackles and doesn't do a very good job at covering linebackers and running backs out of the backfield. I'm going to utilize this kid's strengths. This helps Reddick. Wind him up. Hit the quarterback. Wind him up. Hit the quarterback. And what you have Nolan Smith doing, you got Nolan Smith learning the game. You wind him up occasionally and let him hit the quarterback too, because you want to utilize that 4-4 strength just as much. But remember something in the Eagle defense. They don't blitz a ton. I don't think they're going to change a lot of the personality and philosophies that they have and what they did a year ago. I think they believe in that umbrella defense, and I think that is an organizational decision that they've made doing. So for me, if I'm Sean Desai, see, what I'm trying to do is construct the defense for you using all your personnel here. Here, your two rush ends. I have to game plan that, guys. I have to game plan Reddick. Dude, 17 sacks has my attention. 17 sacks has my attention. Knocking quarterbacks out of games has my attention. 4.39 also has my attention. What does that mean? Well, I got to keep tight ends in, not just backs. Who's coming? Which one's coming? You've got to make these two guys on your edge. You got to make these guys weapons. One guy 17 sacks, another guy 4.39. Tell you this, Nolan Smith doesn't have any equity in the NFL right now, but you know what he does have? That 40 time.